Hello everyone, welcome in Learn CHE. In this video, we are going to discuss about the 10 MCQs of chemical technology, and in chemical technology, we will discuss about the urea plant. Okay, so you will get to know very good concept here to learn about the urea plant, which will help you in your examination, in your interviews as well, right? So before starting the video, if you haven't joined our YouTube channel, you can simply join our YouTube channel. You can subscribe our YouTube channel and press the bell icon so that you could get the latest notification. Okay, so let's start the video with first question. And the first question is very simple one, and which is asked most. Okay, and the question is that what is the chemical formula of the urea? Okay, when you are studying the chemical technology, so you will definitely read about the fertilizer, right? So whenever you will read about the fertilizer, or whenever you will study about the fertilizer, the manufacturing of urea, you will definitely read. Okay, so what is the chemical formula for the urea? Let's see that how the urea form. Okay, so there are two raw materials which is used for the urea. The first one is NH3, that is ammonia, liquid ammonia, and carbon dioxide, right? So when they react together, when NH3 plus carbon dioxide react together, so it forms, this is an irreversible reaction, and it forms ammonium carbamate. Okay, that is an intermediate product. Okay, and so this is a exothermic reaction where 38.1 kilocalorie per gram mole, okay, energy release. Okay, and after that, when this ammonium carbamate dehydrates, so it converts into the NH2 whole twice CO plus water minus 7.1 kilocalorie per gram mole, right? So this is our formula of the urea. Okay, you will also find this formula like this: NH2COH2N. okay, the meaning is same, just understand that this is the formula of the urea. So the right answer will be A. Got it my point? So the raw material for the urea is ammonia and carbon dioxide. Okay, and this is a ammonium carbamate, that is a intermediate product. This first one is a exothermic reaction, and this is a endothermic reaction. Okay, now the second question is prilling tower provides the dash to the prills which comes from the bucket. Okay, so this is our prilling tower, and this is the bucket. Okay, so from the bucket, the prills of urea comes, and prills of the molten urea comes. Okay, so there is a height of the prilling tower. Let's suppose 80 meter. That is a free fall height of the prilling tower. So what happens that when they fall from the bucket, okay, and from the bottom we provide the air. Okay, from the bottom we provide the air with the help of the lowers. So what happens that it comes with intimate contact with the air. This molten urea, okay, this molten urea will come with intimate contact with the air, and this urea will be solidified. So what will happen that when it is going to solidify, or we can say crystallize, right? So the right answer will be cooling. Got it my point? Because here this is a molten urea. When it will come in contact with the air, that is a cool, okay, a natural air we are sending from the bottom, or from the natural draft. So what will happen that it will transfer its latent heat into the air. Got it my point? So what cooling tower provides mainly, it provides the cooling, or you can say it solidified the pills, or it crystallized the pills. Got it my point? This is very important question which is asked in the interview. Okay, and here you can see that this is our belt, conveyor belt. Okay, this is the conical surface, you can say, and there will be the scraper, okay, which will rotate so that the pills will be becomes uniform in size. Okay, now let's see that the very important question, and the question is that why vacuum section is required in the urea plant. Okay, if I talk about the vacuum, so vacuum means is below atmospheric pressure. Vacuum means below atmospheric pressure, right? The first thing is, and the second thing is, you know that water boils at 1 atmospheric pressure at 100 degrees Celsius. Got it? And here is one thing, that at 1 atmospheric pressure water boils at 100 degrees Celsius. If I increase the pressure, so my temperature, that is 100 degrees Celsius, that will also increase. Okay, suppose that is a 1 atmospheric pressure. If it is increasing, if the pressure is increasing, so temperature will also increase. The second point is that if I decrease the pressure, so my temperature will also decrease. Okay, what is the meaning of this? It means that when I am decreasing the pressure, so temperature is also decreasing, means I'll have to give the less energy, right? So same concept applies here when we use the vacuum section to increase the concentration, of urea, to increase the concentration of urea, as well as it gives us the economical delta T, so that our less energy required. I hope you got the point. That is very important. Okay, that's why we use the vacuum section in the urea plant. Now the fourth question is that the vacuum is maintained in the vacuum section with the help of the, okay, so here we are talking about the how to maintain the vacuum in the vacuum section, right? We are not talking about the how to create the vacuum. Okay, whenever we will have to create the vacuum, so we use the vacuum pump, or you can say ejector. Okay, but here we have to maintain the vacuum, right? So that's why we will use here the ejector condenser system. Okay, so this will be your right answer, not condenser, not ejector. Okay, now let's see the fifth question. The fifth question is that why hydrolyzer is used in the process condensate treatment in urea plant. Okay, so hydrolyzer mainly, why the hydrolyzer we use in the urea plant? Mainly hydrolyzer is used to decompose the urea. Okay, just see the reaction of the formation of the urea. Okay, so here you can see that there is our reactant, and this is our final product. So what we do, we reverse this reaction. In the hydrolysis we reverse this reaction. That's why there is a water we are giving. Okay, and because it was our endothermic reaction, so we will provide here the heat, okay, or we can say the energy, right? So that's why this H2O will be very high pressure steam, HPS I am writing here, right? Got it my point? So why we are doing the hydrolysis? We want to recover all the reactants. Okay, so there is our means in the byproduct there is a urea as well. Okay, so what we are doing, we are doing hydrolysis. Okay, so by doing the hydrolysis, what is happening, that this urea is ultimately converting into the reactants. Okay, so what we can do, we can just use these reactants in the reactor to again do the reaction. Got it my point? So that's why we are using the hydrolyzer here, or that's why we are doing the hydrolysis. So okay, so what will be the right answer? The right answer will be to decompose the urea. it will not be the right answer to remove the carbon dioxide NH3, and not it will be the right answer, and not all of the above. Now the overall reaction of the urea formation is, okay, definitely it will be exothermic. Why it will be exothermic? As we seen that the first reaction where 37.1 kilocalorie per gram mole energy was releasing, and this was our exothermic reaction. And in the second there was 7.1 kilocalorie per gram mole energy were releasing. Sorry, we have to provide, okay, this much of energy. Okay, so it is positive, let's suppose, and this is negative. So ultimately when you will see here, okay, when you will see here, the 30.0 kilocalorie per gram mole is a exothermic energy we are getting. Okay, you can say or which is releasing from the overall reaction of the urea. Okay, and overall reaction between the reactants, right? So the overall reaction will be exothermic. You can just see the reaction. I hope you got the point. Guys, if you have any doubt, so let me in the comments box, I'll give you the reply. And if you have any suggestion, like if you want any other topic, so also let me in the comments box, I'll make the videos for you. Okay, and what you can do, you can simply share this video, you can subscribe our YouTube channel, okay, to get the more latest notification and more interesting topics. Okay, in the question 7, baffles are used in the hydrolyzer because it provides. Okay, so the work of the baffles and the function of the baffles is same, whether it is using in the heat exchanger, whether it is using anywhere else, the function is same. Okay, what is the function? There are the 4 options. The first one is it increase the mass transfer. Yes, high mass transfer rate, definitely it will provide. How it will provide? Let's see that. This is my vessel and this is suppose the hydrolyzer, and there is a baffles, let's suppose, right? So when suppose one stream is coming from here, okay, and the second stream is coming from here, so what will happen that, or suppose I am providing water from this stream, okay, and from this stream there is a solution. So what will happen that it will goes into, okay, it will goes into the every chamber. So definitely it will increase the mass transfer. Why? Because it increase the residence times, right? Or it will also prevent the back mixing. Okay, your solution cannot go from here. It will only go when the overflow condition comes. Otherwise it will not go. So all of the above will be your right answer. Got it my point? Now let's see the 8th question, and the 8th question is that pressure safety valves, that is also known as the PSV, are used in the plant too. Okay, so there are the 4 options. The first one is to prevent the pressurized vessel from the over pressurization, okay, to give reliability to the process, to regulate the process fluid, or none of the above. Okay, actually it do not regulate the process fluid because there is a valve which we use to regulate the process fluid. So none of the above answer will not be right. So the right answer is that basically the PSV and PRV is used to prevent the pressurized vessel from the over pressurization. Okay, suppose if there is any vessel, let's suppose this is my hydrolyzer. If it, suppose their design condition, suppose there is a set pressure is, let's suppose 37, okay, and the operating pressure is, let's suppose operating pressure is 28, right, kg per centimeter square. And if it hit, or let's suppose by any reason the pressure increased from 28 to 37, so the PSV will actuate. Okay, or when this PSV will actuate, it means that our vessel is being pressurized. So what we will do, we will take some serious action. Okay, and mainly why the PSV is used? PSV is used to prevent our pressurized vessel. This vessel is very important. Okay, And this PSP, the use of this PSP is to save the equipment, to save the environment, or to save the person as well. Okay, and that's why this PSP is used. Now the ninth question is that why reflux is added in the distillation tower's top tray. Okay, that question is also very conceptual and interesting as well. Let's suppose this is my distillation tower, right? So from the bottom there is the vapors is coming, and from the top there is a liquid is going below. Okay, so what happens that it comes into the intimate contact, and this vapors, okay, that has a high temperature which go upward, and this liquid has a lower temperature, it goes down. Okay, and it has also specific gravity high, or due to the specific gravity it goes down. Now when we are providing the reflux from here, so what happens that this reflux is already we have accumulated in the accumulator, and after that we are sending it to the top tray of the distillation tower. So when earlier it was achieving, or suppose it was boiling at 70 degrees Celsius, now it may boils at suppose 55 degrees Celsius. Why? Because we have early what we have done, the vapors which were going from here, we have condensed that vapors, and then we collected that vapors into the accumulator, and now we are sending it to the top tray of the distillation tower, right? So it will take less temperature, less energy to vaporize. So whatever the liquid will comes with the intimate contact with that reflux solution, it will also release, or it will also boils soon. Got it my point? So that is the point. So what will happen ultimately? What will happen? The purity will increase. Okay, why we give the reflux? To increase the purity of the high volatile component. Okay, for better heat transfer, to increase the performance. Okay, for better heat transfer, yes you can say. To increase the performance, yes you can say. So all of the above will be the right answer. Ultimately what is happening that suppose you are providing your feed from here. Okay, so there may be also multi feed as well, but here we are just simply considering we are providing the feed from here. Now what is happening here, that when we are providing the reflux, so it is boiling earlier because this is our more volatile component, and when it is coming in contact with the liquid, it is boiling that liquid as well, okay, in the less temperature. So our energy saving is also increasing. So that's why the performance will definitely increase. Now the 10th question, and very interesting question, is that why the preheaters are used in the plant. Okay, in the urea plant you can say, in the any chemical plant you can say why. Okay, if you know this answer, let me in the comments box. If no problem, I'll give you the reply as soon as possible. Just try to answer this question. Okay, so that's all for the today's video. If you have any doubt in this video, you can let me in the comments box. I'll give you the reply as soon as possible. So that's all for the today's video. Thank you for watching. See you soon.